Hey everyone, welcome back to IELTS Time. I'm Archer. Today we're diving into a challenging Part 3 topic family businesses. A lot of learners struggle to organise ideas for this one, so in this lesson, we'll see how to answer naturally and confidently. First, we'll watch a mock interview with Jessica and Joseph, and then I'll break down Joseph's responses in detail. Let's jump right in.
What do you think of family businesses?
Well, I think family businesses are really fascinating and often a bit underappreciated, to be honest. They usually combine personal values, long term vision, and that sense of community that big companies sometimes lack. But at the same time, they do face unique challenges like emotional conflicts or being a bit resistant to change. I really admire the ones that manage to balance professionalism with family loyalty, because that's not easy at all. Uh, Overall, I'd say they play a pretty crucial role in the economy and society, especially in keeping traditions alive and creating stable jobs.
Why do some people prefer to work for a family business instead of a big company?
I guess it mainly comes down to autonomy and being able to see the impact of what you do. In a big company, it's easy to feel like just a small cog in a huge machine, you know? But in a family business, your work really matters. You can see the results right away. There's usually a stronger sense of loyalty too, and sometimes more job security because of those family ties. Plus, the atmosphere tends to be more personal and supportive, which makes it more satisfying. So, yeah, that mix of connection and stability is really appealing for a lot of people.
What are the advantages and disadvantages of working with your relatives?
Well, one big advantage is trust. You usually know your relatives' intentions, so there's less office politics. Communication's also easier because you already understand each other. But the main downside is that boundaries can get blurred. Arguments at work can spill over into family life, and criticism can feel personal. It's also tricky for non family staff. They might feel left out or treated unfairly. So, yeah, it can be supportive, but it definitely needs careful management to avoid tension.
In your country, do most family businesses stay small or can they grow large?
I'd say most family businesses in my country tend to stay small, like local shops or restaurants, because the owners want to keep that personal touch. But some do manage to grow into major national or even international companies. That usually happens when the next generation brings in professional managers and more formal systems. Those businesses try to balance growth with preserving family values, which isn't easy. So, yeah, small ones dominate, but there are definitely some great examples of successful scale ups.
Why do conflicts sometimes happen among family members when they do business together?
Conflicts are almost inevitable, honestly, because business decisions mix with personal relationships. For example, a younger family member might have a better idea, but challenging an older relative can feel disrespectful. Money makes things even more complicated. Arguments about salaries or profits often carry emotional weight, and sometimes roles aren't clear, so people disagree over authority. Basically, it's hard to separate professional decisions from family dynamics.
How can family businesses keep professional standards while still maintaining close personal relationships?
I think the key is to have clear rules and structure. Job roles, performance measures, and decision making processes should be written down so everyone knows what's expected. It also helps to have regular meetings and maybe one trusted non family manager to give an objective view. Family members should set boundaries too, like not talking about work during family meals or holidays. When everyone treats work professionally, it actually protects the personal side of the relationship. That's what keeps the business sustainable over generations.
Should parents encourage their children to take over the family business or let them choose their own career?
Personally, I think parents should let their kids choose. Forcing someone into the business rarely works. They might not have the passion for it, and that hurts both them and the company. It's much better to guide them, maybe train them, but let them make the final decision. A lot of successful successors first work somewhere else, gain some perspective, and then decide to come back. That way, it's a genuine choice, not an obligation.
Is it harder for family businesses to innovate and change compared to normal companies? Why?
Yeah, I think it often is. Founders can get really attached to the way things have always been done, so they're sometimes hesitant to take risks. Their whole identity and wealth are tied up in the business, which makes change feel risky. Bigger companies, on the other hand, can afford to experiment more because the risks shared among shareholders. That said, family businesses can innovate if they bring in fresh talent or adopt more structured decision-making. It's just usually more challenging.
All right, let's analyse the performance we just watched. Joseph's responses are a great blueprint for handling complex Part 3 questions. They're thoughtful, balanced, and full of natural expressions. Now let's go through each answer carefully so you understand not just what he says, but precisely why it works for a high band score. Question 1. What do you think of family businesses? Joseph begins with a confident opinion, calling family businesses fascinating and underappreciated. Those adjectives are precise but still natural, a clear step above saying good. He balances positives and challenges, personal values, long-term vision, and community spirit versus emotional conflict and resistance to change. Notice the phrase balance professionalism with family loyalty. It's an elegant collocation you can reuse. For example, balance tradition with innovation or balance ambition with stability. Why do some people prefer to work for a family business instead of a big company? Here, Joseph focuses on autonomy and impact, two nouns that show maturity. He contrasts that with the idiom a small cog in a huge machine, a vivid image that adds colour to his language. He also uses a stronger sense of loyalty and a more personal and supportive atmosphere. These are emotional but controlled expressions, perfect for IELTS. You could easily adapt them, a stronger sense of belonging or a more open atmosphere. Question 3. What are the advantages and disadvantages of working with your relatives? Joseph structures this one clearly, providing 2 distinct advantages: trust and easier communication, and 3 disadvantages: blurred boundaries, personal criticism, and issues for non-family staff. This organisation, even with multiple points, adds coherence and makes the answer comprehensive. He uses highly useful and idiomatic expressions like office politics and spill over into family life. Both are very natural and easy to recycle in other conversations. What's particularly effective is his use of blurred boundaries. It's a natural metaphor that perfectly captures the idea of work and family mixing. You could easily adapt this phrase to other contexts too. For example, blurred boundaries between work and rest, or blurred lines between reality and imagination. Question 4. Do family businesses stay small, or can they grow large? Joseph notes that most stay small to keep that personal touch, but some grow when the next generation brings in professional management. He also mentions successful scale-ups. That's a precise noun for companies that expand effectively. It's worth knowing that you can also use it as a verb. For example, some small startups struggle to scale up effectively. Having both forms in your vocabulary helps you sound flexible and natural when discussing growth or development. Why do conflicts happen among family members? Joseph explains this naturally. Emotional ties make decisions harder, and younger relatives sometimes hesitate to challenge older ones. He uses carry emotional weight and family dynamics, both subtle and precise. They're formal enough for IELTS, but not robotic. You could also apply them in other topics. Cultural differences can carry emotional weight, or team dynamics often affect performance. How can family businesses stay professional? Joseph gives practical advice. Clear rules, written down roles, regular meetings, and even a non-family manager to stay objective. He also says it's important to set boundaries, a natural collocation that fits perfectly in both workplace and personal context. It means to clearly define limits so people respect your time, space, or responsibilities. For example, you could say, I try to set boundaries between work and personal life so I don't burn out. It's practical, authentic language, exactly the kind of phrase that sounds fluent in IELTS speaking Part 3. Question 7. Should parents encourage their children to take over the family business or let them choose their own career? Joseph's answer feels balanced and human. He says forcing someone rarely works and suggests offering guidance and training while letting them make their own decision. These functional phrases work everywhere. For example, forcing students to choose a career rarely works. That's natural fluency. Expressing ideas, not memorized templates. Finally, is it harder for family businesses to innovate? Joseph points out that founders can become emotionally attached to old methods, which makes them hesitant to take risks. But he ends positively, saying innovation is possible if they bring in fresh talent and adopt structured decision-making. That's the perfect Part 3 formula. Problem, reason, and solution. All explained with precise, natural vocabulary. So what do we learn from Joseph's answers? He doesn't try to sound overly academic. He just uses the right phrases in the right places and stays logical. That's exactly what examiners want. Clear organisation, flexible vocabulary, and a calm, natural tone. That's it for today's lesson on family businesses. If this helped, don't forget to like the video, subscribe and turn on the bell so you never miss a new lesson. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.